Let's create a Vue.js project. So I will create npm create with at latest, and I will just say dot. So I already created this user management app folder, and I'm already inside it. So I will just say dot, so it will create that project in the current folder. Now I will select React and I will select TypeScript. So we'll be using TypeScript here. So let's start the application. You can see we are getting error because we need to first install all the packages. So just execute npm install. So it will install all the default packages you have inside the package.json file. So you can see we have this dependency as well as dev dependency. All will get installed. So whenever you create a Vue.js application, first thing you need to do is do npm install. So it will install all the packages. Now let's remove the unnecessary code. So we have two CSS files. We don't need two. So let's remove this app.css. We just need one index.css and main.tsx. So we have removed this. So let me remove index.tsx. And we are getting this error because the packages are still installed. And once it's installed, then you will not see those errors. Now go to app.tsx and I will remove all this default code. I will just say RAFC. So it will create the default boilerplate code for us. So if you want to know how to do, you can install this ES7 plus snippets extension. So you can easily create all the components code without writing it from scratch. All the default packages are installed. Let's start the application using npm run dev. So inside package.json, we have dev script that gets executed. So it will start our application on 5174. So if I open this, you can see this is the default app getting displayed. So for now, for the entire application, we'll be using couple of packages. So we are using Bootstrap for styling, and we are using React Bootstrap component based. And then we are using React Hook Form for all the validation along with Zod. So Zod will be validation library and React Hook Form is the form library. We'll be also using React Router DOM for routing. So let's install all of these packages. So I'll say React Router DOM and let's install Bootstrap, React Bootstrap. Then we'll install a React Hook Form. Then we'll also install Zod. So Bootstrap will give you base CSS classes and React Bootstrap will give you the component that you can use directly in your React application. So you can see all the packages are installed. So we have all the required packages here installed. If you need any further, we will install them later. So let's start the application. So there will not be any difference. So let's start creating routes first. So we first need to create routes, browser router. Let's import it. And we need routes component. Import that also. So if you are not aware of this routing, you can check out the course link in the description. We also need one route. So all the routes you need to wrap inside the routes component. Now here we need to add path. So for the slash route, whenever we in access application, we need to display some component. So let's create those pages. So inside SRC, I will create pages folder as well as components folder. So inside pages, I will create user list .tsx because we are using TypeScript. So I just create boilerplate code and we'll also create add user .tsx. We'll also create edit user .tsx. And that's it for now. So let's create boilerplate code. Let's also create not found page. So whenever you create routes, you should also have one page not found. So if user accepts any other page, you should not get any error or a blank page. So all these pages are created. So inside the app, here we can use the users list as a JSX. So now whenever you access the application, so now whenever we access slash route by reloading here, you will get the users list component. You can see users list is displayed. So let's add other routes. So for add, you add user component. For edit, so we'll be editing a specific user. So it will be dynamic routes. So edit /id :id, and here I can say edit user. And what other we have? We have not found. So for all other routes, for everything except all of the other routes, if user accesses that, will display not found. So if I try to access, let's say help page, that does not exist. You will get the not found page. So always have at least one route which will display not found. You can also add a navigate component. So use the navigate component to redirect to slash route. So if user accepts any of the invalid component, will redirect to the slash route like user list. So instead of displaying not found, you can also redirect user to the user list component, which you can also do. But I will specifically create not found page. So let me revert that. Now we have all these pages, and now inside the user list, we'll write the code for displaying the list of users. So if you go to the final application, let me zoom out. You can see we have this heading, and we also have a button to add a new user, and we have list of users. So before starting, I will suggest like you go through this documentation if you are not aware of it. So if you want to find anything, you can just search the documentation. Let's say I want to see how grid works. So you can just type grid, and you will see how actual basic grade functionality works. And if you need to find out any classes, so bootstrap classes are different than if you are work with Tailwind CSS, these are different. So you need to know which classes you are using. So if you are not aware of that, I will highly recommend to check out this bootstrap cheat sheet. So I will include all of these links in the description, so you can go to that. So if I want to add any flexbox properties, you can just type flex. So you can see d-flex for display flex. These are utility flex. So you need to use d-flex, d-block like this. If I want to add height, you can see height option. So whatever properties you want to see whether they are available or not, you can go through this cheat sheet. You can also copy this and try it out yourself. So use these two sites if you want to find out the basics, and if you want to use any component based component we'll be using. So let's say we'll be using initial container component. So you can just search for container. So grid system. So how to use this container component. So when you are using container, it will add some extra padding on left and right. So your content will be in the center. You can add some row or column if required. So all these classes components you can use. So we'll be using card also for displaying these list of cards. So go through this particular documentation. Anytime you want to learn something more about anything, models, let's say models we are displaying. So in that case, you can learn or go through this particular documentation. So let's start building here. So I will create container. So all the components content will be in the center. And let's also add some margin. So I can say class name. So let's import this container from React Bootstrap. Margin Y, let's say 5. So if you want to find out which are the margin related classes, you can go to margin Y. You can see there is margin top, margin bottom. So padding top, padding bottom. You can go through this and you can use this. So only if they are available, you can use. So now here, let's display heading. Here I will add a div, and inside it, for this I will give some classes. So let's say display flex. So we want these two elements side by side. So inside it we have this. Let me bring this side, and I will bring this. So let me close all of this. Will be easy for you. So this is the original app, final application, and this is what we are doing. So we want this user management and this button side by side. So we want this display flex. Then justify content between. So it's different than the Tailwind CSS. We also need align items, center, margin bottom 4, and we can say flex wrap. So if the content card does not fill up on this particular row, single row, it will come on the next line. Let's also add gap of 2. Now inside it, we'll add H2. You can call it H1, say user management. Let's use some classes. You can say text primary, which is the blue color, and let's say margin bottom 0. So let's see how it is. You can see user management is it. But if you see our CSS, the bootstrap styling colors are not getting applied because we need to first import the base bootstrap CSS. So let's go to main.tsx, and here we need to import the base bootstrap CSS. So where it is? So it is inside the node modules folder. So whenever you install bootstrap, you will get this bootstrap folder inside node modules, this CSS, and there will be bootstrap.min.css. So always use this minified CSS. Never use the direct bootstrap.css because this is larger. So it will take some more time to load your page. So always use this bootstrap.min.css. So let's import it. So I'll say bootstrap this CSS bootstrap.min.css. So now if we save this, we'll see that blue color heading display. You can see now user management is displayed in blue color. Let's change the here instead of margin y, let's say padding y, and let's say 4. So there will not be much margin. Now we have this user management and we need to display button. So let's use the button component from React Bootstrap. And here we can add a plus sign. So we also need Lucid React. So you might be already familiar of this. So whenever you are using Shadowsian UI, we use Lucid React library. So let's install this. You can also use React icons if you prefer that. So all the icons are available in both of these libraries. So if you want to learn more about it, you can just go to Lucid React, type in the Google, and you can go to this lucid.dev where you can find all the icons. Close this. Let's add some styling till then. So it's a class name equal to display flex, items center, and gap of this. Here we need to add the tag. You can see it's installed. Let's start the application. And here I would say plus icon. Let's import from Lucid React. And I can say size equal to, let's say it's, you can see plus icon is displayed on the right side. So along with this will display. So if you check in the final application, we have add new user for desktop. And if we make it smaller, we have just plus add. So it's both responsive. So let's add here a span and we can say add new user. And this will be displayed only on the desktop larger screen. So by default, we'll say display none. And when the screen is small and above, we'll say display small SM inline. What is this SM inline? So Bootstrap has some specific breakpoints. So you can see extra small, small, medium, and large. So when the screen size is less than 576, it's extra small. And SM is greater than or equal to 576 pixels. So when it's greater than or equal to 576 pixels, then I want to display this add new user text. Otherwise, I will display just add text. So I'll say just add. And here this will be displayed on the mobile screen. So it says display small none. So by default, will not display this add new user button for a small screen. And then with small and above, will display that. And this will be only displayed for small screen. So small and above, it will not be displayed. So we say display SM none. So small and above small screen and above screen, it will not be displayed. So let's save this and let's check it. You can see now on the desktop, larger screen, small screen and above, it's displayed add new user. But if I make this screen smaller, you can see we see this add text. So this is how we display or make it responsive website. So let's close this. And if you check, the plus button is not properly aligned with this particular text. So let's add some styling here. So it will be align item center. So it's not Bootstrap, it's not React. So we are not using Tailwind CSS, so we need to use the Bootstrap classes. Now you can see it's properly aligned in the center. So now we have this initial button. So let's close this. Now we want to display the list of users. But if we don't have users, then we need to display some default text. So let's add that. So here, let's for now, I will say users equal to empty array. And here I will add some extra code. So here I'll say users dot length is equal to 0. Then we'll display one thing. Otherwise, we'll display others. So we'll have cards here. So let's say div of cards. And if we don't have any user, then let's add a div. Here let's add h5 and we can say no user found. And alongside h5, let's say click add new user button to get started. Let's style this properly. You can say text center. So this is similar to Tailwind CSS, padding Wi-Fi. And here we can say class name equal to text body secondary. So it will be like gray. Some text color will be gray. Text body secondary. And for this also we can say text body secondary. Now we don't have any users, so you can see no users found text is getting displayed. So which is as expected. Now we don't want this hard code, so let's get the list of users in specific format. So let's go to ChatGPT and we'll display the mock users, get the mock users from the ChatGPT. So here I can say an array of 8 users where each object is in the following format. So I'll add this format. So it will give you exactly all the array elements in exactly this particular format. So number is a number, it's not a string. So we want street name, number, email, phone, and all other things. So let me press enter. So you can see we get all these unique 8 users. So let me copy this and let's go back and we'll create a new folder. So let's collapse this inside src. I will say util/users.ts and I will say export const users equal to paste this. Duplicate it, save this. So these users will be using directly in your application. So let's remove this. Let's import these users from dot/util/users. So actually, let's set up Zustand first. So let's import or install this npm install Zustand, and let's create a store folder. So we create store, and here I can say users store.cs. So let's import something from Zustand. So we have already seen this in the initial videos. So that something is create function. So let's start this. Now we can say use users store because this will be a custom hook. And I can say create. And for this, we need to pass a function. That function will return an object. So we'll first return it in long form, and then we'll write it in simplified form. So it will have users property, and that will come from that users array. So let's import it here, and we'll have add users function. So for now, we'll keep it empty. We'll have update user. So it will receive, so we'll add those parameters later. Add user, update user, then we'll have delete user. So all these actions, we are keeping it empty for now, and later we'll add that. So now this is a longer form. So instead of whenever you are returning object from function, you can implicitly return if that is an arrow function. So I'll add round bracket and I'll directly return that object. So this is the common way you will see everywhere. So I'll export default use users store. Now we can use these users directly in the users list component. So instead of importing here, I can say use user store. We have already seen this, so I'm taking it faster. So state.users. So whatever property you want. So from that particular store, I want the users property. So I'll store that in users. And for now, if there are users, I will just say json.stringify. So you can see that data is coming. So I'll display these users null to. So it will be formatted nice. So let me display this in JSX. See these users are displayed, but they are not properly formatted. So instead of div, I will use pre tag. So you can clearly see. So all these users are coming from that Zustand store because now we are not hard coding that. We are using use users selector hook, and inside that we have this users property. Now instead of displaying like this, let's create component to display this property. So here instead of this pre, let's add a row. So row is coming from the React Bootstrap. Whenever you want to add cards layout, you can display this row and we'll have column. So let's say here I will say one, I will add two. Let's import this row, React Bootstrap, column, React Bootstrap. So if you see, you can see one is displayed and two is displayed. So by default, the grid is 12 columns grid, but we can display whatever number of columns you want. So if I want to display 5, you can see 5 column grid is it. So, but instead of manually displaying, we already have this user. So let's map through that user. Here we can say users dot map for individual user. What will return? Will return a column. So say COL and inside it we'll display the card. So if we check the React Bootstrap, let's go to React Bootstrap and we'll see how to use the card. So search for cards. So you can see this is the card, and for that we can just take out this code. We don't need style here. Image we don't have, body, title, text, button we don't want. Let's import this card. So let's style this column. So for column, so whenever you are using map method, we always need to make sure we add a unique key. So we already have user.id. So we already seen we have this each user we have a unique ID that we can use. We also have a name that will be displaying. Let's also import the column. And if we go here, we have 8 different columns. So the list of users are 8. So we are able to display 8 different columns. But we want to display these based on the number of screen size. So we have a small device, large device, or desktop device. Based on that, whenever we make the smaller screen, we want to automatically adjust as per the width. So we don't want to compress this. So for that, we can use grid system. So for extra small devices, we want to take the entire width. So we can say 12, so 12 column grid. So you can see it's entire each card is taking 12 column grid. Now for let's say medium and above, we'll say 6 column grid. So total column grid is 12. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So each row will have 2 cards. So if I save this, you can see now we have 2 cards. So by default, extra small will take 12 column grid. Only one card will be displayed. Then after MD and above, we'll have 2 columns, and large will say 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. So each row will have 3 cards. So for extra small devices, we'll have 12 column grid. So each row will have a single card. Now medium and above, 12 divided by 6. So it will be 2. So each row will have 2 columns. Then large and above will say 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. So each row will have 3 columns. So you can see now we have 3 columns. And as we adjust, you can see for a small screen, it's 1 column grid. When we make it larger, you can see 2 column grid. Now we have 3 column grid. So based on the width of our device, small, medium, large, we are successfully able to adjust the column grids. So this is how you can use these breakpoints, extra small, medium. Now inside this body, we can add a div. So inside div, let's add h6, and here we can display user dot name. So let's save this. You can see name is getting displayed, but I want this in again blue color. So we can give class of text primary, and here I can say margin bottom 1, and we can also add a text truncate. We'll see that why we need this text truncate later. But now we have this card body, and let's add some styling here for class div also. We can say display flex, justify content between, align items start, align items start, and we can say margin bottom 3. Let's save this. We can see we have some spacing here. And now for this H6, after this H6, we'll add a div. So we have 2 buttons, edit and delete button, that we need to add. So let's add a button component, which is from React Bootstrap. And inside it, we can say edit. So we are importing this from Lucid React. So you need to install this Lucid React if you don't have. So just execute npm install Lucid -react. So this will install your Lucid React package. So this is icons library we are using. If you want, you can also use React icons, but I prefer this Lucid React because if you are using the Shadowscene UI, that also by default uses Lucid React. So if you see, you can see edit icon is this bad, but it's too big. So we can add a size of let's say 14. So it is a bit smaller. It's too big right now, so we can say size equal to SM. So it will be small. You can see now the button is small. Similarly, let's duplicate this, and instead of edit, I will say crash. Again, this is from Lucid React. You can see it is this, but for this, we'll give some extra class. So let's say variant equal to outline danger. So there are different classes, danger, success like this. So outline means it will not be filled up, so it will have only the border. You can see border is red color, red is the danger. So similarly for this button, we can give variants of outline primary. So it will be in this blue color. Let's give some gap also. So for this, let's say display flex and gap of 2. Now you can see there is some spacing between. Now, if you notice, we have given text truncate here. What is the need of this? So if the text is larger, let's say name is larger, if user enters large text while testing or by mistake he enters, you can see now we have these bullets, so it will not go outside. So these are known as ellipses. But if I don't add this text truncate, you can see it's come on the next line, and the icons are now larger, so height is larger. I don't want this to go on the next line, the username, so I will be displaying ellipses here. So for that you can say text truncate. So based on the width of it, it will automatically display those bullets. We'll add this button click functionality later, but after this div, let's add one more div, and let's give some class of margin bottom 3. And now here we'll display more information about that particular user. So let's add a div here again, and we'll give class name of again display flex, align items center, and gap of 2, margin bottom 2, and here we'll display some content. So let's use the mail icon again from Lucid React, and here we can use size of let's say 16. So you can see mail icon is displayed. Now, along with this mail icon, we need to display that user's email. So each user has an email, phone number, and will also display location information. So here, alongside this, let's give some classes here. So I'll say class name of text body secondary. So it will be grayish, and I can say let's shrink 0. So we'll see why we need that. So now alongside this, we'll display a small tag which will display text in a small font. So we can display email. I can say user.email. You can see email is displayed. Let's style this also. So I'll say text break. You can see it's getting displayed. Why we need text break? So if the email gets longer, it will automatically break on the next line. So if I make this smaller, you can see it automatically breaks on the new line. But if you don't add that, then it will not break. So if I remove, you can see it's going out of that particular card, which is not good. So always make sure you validate all of these things. So let me close this. Now we have mail icon and the text. Now let's copy this and duplicate this. And now here we'll display phone number. Again, Lucid React, and here is user.phone. Now if you check, you can see phone number is also displayed. Now after this div, let's add one more div. So this is after this entire div. So entire section, we'll add one more div. And let's use some classes. So I'll say again display flex. So whenever you want to display side by side, we use flex. Align item center. Let's use start. So it will be in the start of that particular section, and let's say gap of 2. And inside it will display map pin. So we are displaying location. So we'll display map pin, and it will have also 16 size. Let's give class. Let me copy this, and we'll use the same. Now along this map pin, let's add one more div. And here we can say flex grow 1, and one more div inside it, and we can give class name of small. So you can either use small tag, or you can use bootstrap small class to make the text smaller. And here we can display user dot location dot, we have city, state, and street. So here I will display street dot number, so which is actually number, not a string format. And let's give some spacing, and here we can also display user dot location dot street dot name. So if I save this, let's see, you can see street number is displayed and street name is also displayed. Now alongside this div, let's add one more div. Here, let's add again class text body secondary. And here we display that city and state. You can say user dot location dot city, user dot location dot state. You can see city and state. Let's make this. So if you see here, the map icon is a little bit up, and this text is not centered here. So for this, we can add. So let's add margin top of 1. Now you can see it correctly moves to align property to the text. So let's also change this name back. Yeah, this is looking better. So we have all the users which are displaying right now. And one more thing we observed, let me show you again. So here we are using flex string 0. Why we are using? So every class you are using, you should know why you are using. So flex string 0. What will happen? So if the location is larger. Let's say I have this large location, street dot name. Now the location is larger. Let me paste it again. And if we make the smaller, as we decrease the width, you can see the map icon size is not changing. But if I remove this flex shrink 0, you can see the map icon is too small now. So if the content is growing, that icon becomes smaller, which is the default behavior of Flexbox. But I don't want that icon to be smaller than its original size. So for that, I have given this flex shrink of 0. So any content that is alongside this particular map pin should not hamper that particular icon. So that is the advantage of using this flex shrink 0. So let me remove this extra line of code. So this looks better. So that's how you can get the users from the store and display it. So we are using store here, user store, and this data is coming from store. So right now we have this hard-coded data. That's why we don't have is loading and error message state. But if you are using actual API, you should have that is loading error message. So you should display loading. Right now all the data is on your machine, like in the application itself. So it's faster. That's why we have not added. But if the data is actually coming from the API, you should have is loading state, which will be false initially, error message. We have already seen this previously. Error message will be empty. So you should set that based on while the data is loading is going on. So that's how you can display the list of users on the UI. So right now, if you make it smaller, you can see it correctly adjusts as per the build. So you can see the add button also. So when it grows, it automatically comes on the next line. Here you can see as I increase, you will see two column card. So you can see now it becomes two column graph. Now it will become three card. So it automatically adjusts. Now and the text also you can see add new user. It's changing on large screen. So smaller, if I go smaller, you can see it just add. So we have used that span for conditionally displaying this content. So that's how you can make responsive design using Bootstrap